2 GASHEM SHOOKAT BAKSH VCA. GR number 97336. February 19, 1993. Facts. Private respondent filed with the aforesaid trial court a complaint or damages against the petitioner for the alleged violation of their agreement to get married. Petitioner is an Iranian citizen and is an exchange student taking a medical course at the Lyceum Northwestern Colleges. The latter courted and proposed to marry her. She accepted his love on the condition that they would get married. They therefore agreed to get married after the end of the school semester. The petitioner forced her to live with him. She was a virgin before she began living with him. A week before the filing of the complaint, petitioner's attitude towards her started to change. He maltreated and threatened to kill her. As a result of such maltreatment, she sustained injuries. Petitioner repudiated their marriage agreement and asked her not to live with him anymore, and the petitioner is already married to someone. The lower court, applying Article 21 of the Civil Code, rendered a decision favoring the private respondent. Court of Appeals promulgated the challenged decision affirming in toto the trial court's ruling. Issues: whether or not damages may be recovered for a breach of promise to marry on the basis of Article 21 of the Civil Code of the Philippines. Ruling: the existing rule is that a breach of promise to marry per se is not an actionable wrong. Where a man's promise to marry is in fact the proximate cause of the acceptance of his love by a woman, and his representation to fulfill that promise thereafter becomes the proximate cause of the giving of herself unto him in a sexual congress, proof that he had, in reality, no intention of marrying her, and that the promise was only a subtle scheme or deceptive device to entice or inveigle her to accept him and to obtain her consent to the sexual act, could justify the award of damages pursuant to Article 21, not because of such promise to marry but because of the fraud and deceit behind it and the willful injury to her honor and reputation which followed thereafter. It is essential, however, that such injury should have been committed in a manner contrary to morals, good customs, or public policy. In the instant case, respondent court found that it was the petitioner's fraudulent and deceptive protestations of love for and promise to marry plaintiff that made her surrender her virtue and womanhood to him and to live with him on the honest and sincere belief that he would keep said promise, and it was likewise these fraud and deception on appellant's part that made plaintiff's parents agree to their daughters living in with him preparatory to their supposed marriage. In short, the private respondent surrendered her virginity, the cherished possession of every single Filipina, not because of lust but because of moral seduction, the kind illustrated by the Code Commission in its example earlier adverted to. The petitioner could not be held liable for criminal seduction punished under either Article 337 or Article 338 of the revised Penal Code because the private respondent was above 18 years of age at the time of the seduction. Prior decisions of this court clearly suggest that Article May 21 be applied in a breach of promise to marry where the woman is a victim of moral seduction. Associate Justice Edgardo L. Parras, who recently retired from this court, opined that in a breach of promise to marry where there had been carnal knowledge, moral damages may be recovered if there was seduction, not necessarily in the legal sense, but in the vulgar sense of deception. But when the sexual act is accomplished without any deceit or qualifying circumstance of abuse of authority or influence, but the woman, already of age, has knowingly given herself to a man, it cannot be said that there is an injury which can be the basis for indemnity. Thus, his profession of love and promise to marry were empty words directly intended to fool, dupe, entice, beguile and deceive the poor woman into believing that indeed he loved her and would want her to be his life's partner. His was nothing but pure lust which he wanted satisfied by a Filipina who honestly believed that by accepting his proffer of love and proposal of marriage, she would be able to enjoy a life of ease and security. Petitioner clearly violated the Filipinos' concept of morality and so brazenly defied the traditional respect Filipinos have for their women. It can even be said that the petitioner committed such deplorable acts in blatant disregard of Article 19 of the Civil Code, which directs every person to act with justice. Give everyone his due and observe honesty and good faith in the exercise of his rights and in the performance of his obligations. No foreigner must be allowed to make a mockery of our laws, customs, and traditions. The instant petition is hereby denied.